Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Future of Video India 2021. And to any of you who are tuning in perhaps a little bit to the east of India, it's probably a very good afternoon. No matter where you're tuning in from, welcome. We've got a great event lined up for you today, some fantastic speakers, really interesting conversations. I'm really looking forward to it. The first thing I have to say is, look, this is the second year in a row that we're doing a virtual Future of Video India. I'm doing my very best to look as though I am in Mumbai, and I really, really wish that I was. We have to look back to 2019, to the last time that AVIA was able to hold a conference in India, where we hold the Future of Video in Mumbai in May 2019, and then in December 2019 we were in Delhi for a nice event that we did there. Little did we know in December 2019 that it was going to be literally years before we were able to come back physically to the market, or to any other market for that matter. It's been a really difficult time, and I think I just want to sort of take a moment and say that, look, we're starting to think about life post-COVID. I think it's human nature to start thinking about life post-COVID, about the light at the end of the tunnel. But what is very clear from all of the news that we're seeing coming out of India is that we mustn't get ahead of ourselves. I want to take the opportunity to give a most heartfelt thoughts and wishes to everybody in India, to everybody who suffered from the virus, who have friends and family who are suffering in this pandemic, and to everybody who is maintaining social distance and trying to stay safe. It's a really difficult time, and I really hope it's not too long before we can genuinely start thinking about life post-COVID. So, look, having said that, we did think about whether it was even appropriate to go ahead with the event today. And I think unanimously we decided that yes, it was. Because first of all, we can't let COVID win. And secondly, we're proving day in, day out that we're not letting COVID win. Even in the midst of a pandemic, life is continuing. Industry is continuing to evolve and shape itself. The economy is continuing to grow and adapt. And we're all continuing to grow and adapt. And look, there is no market in the world that is more interesting when it comes to video and the video markets than India. There is so much happening. There is so much dynamism, even in a pandemic, that we felt that it was absolutely the right thing to go ahead with it. And so that's why I'm so excited about today's event. As I said, we've got some fantastic speakers. We're going to have some really great conversations. And I think if anybody wants to sort of get the best overview and snapshot of everything that's going to be happening in the market in India now and for the sort of coming year, then stick with us for the next few hours. That's going to be the best way of doing that. So look, without any further ado, let's get underway. And I want to start this morning by acknowledging and thanking our sponsors. So I'd like to thank Bitmovin, Brightcove, Kaltura, Netflix, Vindicia, and Xandr. Thank you all very much, because without the support of our sponsors, it would be very difficult to pull off events like this. The social media hashtag is hashtag FOVIndia. So on LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever it may be, please do use that hashtag. And we're going to be asking you questions today as well. We want to know not just what our esteemed panelists and speakers think, but we want to know what you, the delegates, think about the issues that are facing us and our industry today. So we've got two questions that we're going to be asking you this morning, and then another two questions this afternoon. So the first question this morning is, in 5 years' time, OTT in India will be monetized more by subscription or more by advertising? Binary choice. And secondly, will regulation play a major role now in India in deciding content strategy of OTT platforms? Yes or no? Look, I know those questions are not particularly fair. We're asking you to make sort of linear binary choices. We're not opening it up for shades of grey, but indicatively we want to get a sense of what you think and what you feel. So look, to set the stage for today, We're going to start with an overview of what's happening in the video markets of India. What are the levels of economic performance we're seeing at this stage of the pandemic? And what emerging trends are we seeing for the upcoming year? So it's my very great pleasure. Let's welcome Mihir Shah, VP India for Media Partners Asia, to give us an overview.
Yeah, hi. So just diving straight into the presentation, if you take a aerial view of the video market last year, Asia ex-China overall video market in 2020 stood at about $65 billion. And India had a significant 16% share of the market. However, what is important is that in the next 5 years, for every new incremental dollar which will come from the region, India will have about 35% share of the market. More importantly, the incremental dollars which are coming from India are almost evenly divided between television and online video. So it is for that reason, in the coming years, India will hold a lot of strategic importance both for traditional media networks as well as internet companies. So if you look at 2020, yes, I mean, it was a very painful year for India, like many other markets globally. Say, economic activities came to a complete standstill. The content production industry actually came to a grinding halt somewhere around in March. And that led to a domino effect adversely impacting the entire video industry. So you had there was lack of fresh programming hours. The consumer demand came to a complete pause during the lockdown months. Ad rates had crashed. And, I recollect during the lockdown months, some of the leading broadcast networks were operating at less than 20% of the advertising inventory. So the overall industry, the TV ad market would have contracted by about 25% last year. And this had an adverse impact on the content industry, which which was struggling to get back on its feet. It eventually did somewhere around in June, but it was also this pressure cooker period which kind of brought in a lot of innovation. We saw many of the content makers just trying to get their content out there to sort it to digital first releases. We also saw the most successful IPL ever last year. And that's thanks to great post-production, excellent sound design, which kind of created an illusion of stadiums filled with spectators. And that's a template we are carrying even now in the current ongoing IPL. So, well, of course, the situation now is very different. India is going through a second phase, but we believe that we are in a much better position now, having learnings from last year, having standard operating procedures in place. There is relatively better clarity now than what it was last year. Of course, all depends on how the infections spread in the coming few days, coming few months. So if you look at it, the pandemic started to recede sometime around in October last year. This coincidentally came with the injection of fresh programming hours, which then resulted in a good smart recovery in ad market. Now, of course, fast forward to today, India is going through its second wave. We're quite hopeful that we should peak out in the next 30 to 45 days. But then again, all hinges on government's mass-scale vaccination program in the coming months, which should broadly help smoothen the business operations as well as keep the broader pandemic under check. If you look at it from different high-frequency economic indicators, this also shows to you that we are in a much better position than, especially during the dark lockdown months of last year. If you look at passenger vehicle sales, two-wheeler sales, bank credit, power consumption, all of these different macroeconomic indicators suggest a much smarter recovery from last year. It shows a much more broad-based economic recovery, which also is indicative of a good, strong rebound to come in the ad market. So as we look at the situation now in 21, the industry is very much ripe for taking a rate hike. Maybe it might be a bit prolonged, given the current situation, but we are quite hopeful that if we move to the next slide, we are quite hopeful that in the coming year, in the current year, with the coming of the festive season, with ad volumes again near around its peak, you will see a healthy double-digit TV ad growth in 2021. On distribution, well, the DTH industry has been showing a healthy growth up to 2019. 2020 has been a bit of a mixed bag, more anchored to how the pandemic really played out. So if you look at the peak months of March and April when there was a tight lockdown, you saw consumers confined to their homes, and then the subscriber reactivations really spiked up. Subsequently, however, because of lack of fresh programming hours, because of several subscribers dislocating to their hometown, there was shutdown of commercial establishment. We saw a high level of suspension. To some extent, we've also seen some level of downselling to lower value packs. So there's been a bit of a seesaw in the first half of 2020. In the second half, in June, when programming came back, particularly in September onwards with sports coming back, we have now seen much more smoother operations as far as DTH is concerned. We are now seeing upselling of subscribers, and subscriber new additions are also seeing a good traction. So we exited 2020 at about 58 million DTH subscribers. The outlook for DTH also remains quite strong. We expect in the next 10 years, in the next 5 years, DTH subscriber additions or DTH subscriber base will grow to about 68 million. And it is really DTH which will drive the growth of overall pay TV market because cable in general is going through a structural decline. Now with Jio acquiring the big, large national franchise, many of them have been used to get last mile access to scale their fixed broadband business. To many of them will also get converted to IPTV subscribers in the coming years. The rest of the cable industry lacks the balance sheet, or really barring a few regional franchise, many of them don't have the balance sheet to scale the cable business. Having said that, the pay TV subscription market will continue to grow, both in value as well as in volume. It pretty much has a potential to grow to about $7.5 billion by 2025. So if you look at TV as a medium in India, at taking a macro view and comparing to rest of the Asian markets, at about 55% TV household penetration, India is subpar compared to the Asian average of about 85% TV household penetration. In absolute terms, we have 127 million paying digital subscribers, or at least 95-96% of them are digitalized. So in that sense, India offers a lot of scale for global strategics to look, at least the traditional media players to look into India. And now, given the low base last year, a sharp rebound in the TV ad market, the overall channel business opportunity is more than $7 billion as we see in the next 5 years. However, everything is not rosy. You have specific issues. I would say you're pointing out to the regulations. The new tariff order, which came out in 2019 with a host of amendments in 2020, which kind of restrict bouquet formations, which have price ceilings. This has adversely impacted many of the smaller networks, many niche channels. It has impacted the reach and viewership. Most of them are unfeasible to operate. In the last 2 years, we have seen close to about a dozen odd channels either shutting shop or moving their content online for OTT distribution. However, the pandemic has brought with it a lot of tailwinds as far as the OTT business goes. There is now a dire need for a common Indian citizen to own a high computing handheld device. We saw more than 100 million 4G enabled smartphones getting sold last year. An average Indian is consuming through 14 GB of data per month. And the time spent on mobile right now far exceeds that on television. In fact, even the time spent on online video has gone up by about 30% in the last 1 year. Not only during the lockdown period, it continues to grow even beyond that. That's also partially to do with a host of OTT services available as options to consumers. We now have more than 60 online video services in India. Again, for the OTT market, the total addressable market as such will continue to expand. So if you look at in 2016 with Jio's launch, price war resulted in a sharp expansion of mobile broadband penetration from 15% to about 45%. Now, under the new normal, with broadband prices becoming or still by and large being affordable, consumers are now exploring new cases of data, new use cases of data. A lot of physical activities will get replaced by digital alternatives. And with broadband prices largely remaining affordable, we believe in the next 5 years, at least three-fourths of India's population will have access to high-speed broadband, and the data consumed per user will nearly about double from where it is now. For this reason, a lot of OTT players are also looking to expand or deepen their penetration in India. So, in the last 18 months, we have seen many broadcast OTT services investing heavily in content as they pivot from AVOD to SVOD. We have seen with the ban of TikTok and a host of Chinese apps, especially in the last 9 to 12 months, a lot of homegrown short video services looking to tap the audiences in rural India. Then you have premium players like Netflix, niche players like Discovery Plus, all of them forging telco pay TV partnerships to deepen their penetration. If you look at the AVOD market in India, last year the market stood at about $900 million. Social video platforms, YouTube, Facebook, they're so well integrated in India's digital ecosystem that even going forward, they will continue to have a dominant share of the AVOD market. But then again, content players which own local IP, which have media ownership, they are able to carve out a share for themselves. You've seen this in the last few years with Disney, Boots, Sony Live, all of them growing in share. Now, what we are seeing is, especially in the last 9 to 12 months, short video platforms like Josh, MX Player, Roku, so all of these guys are now becoming a very important conduit for advertisers to reach out to audiences in what we call as Bharat 1 and Bharat 2 in mass rural markets. So at the same time, now telcos, now they are looking to monetize their reach through advertisement, particularly Airtel. So as these different buckets of AVOD players look at expanding their scope, we expect that in the next 5 years, the overall AVOD opportunity will expand to about $2.7 billion. On SVOD, really, I think what we have seen in the last 12 to 18 months, there's been a downward repricing of different price plans. We're also seeing a lot of telco bundles, which are subsidized telco bundles. So all of this has kind of made SVOD more affordable. In fact, many of the annual plans for this OTT services offer anywhere between 60 to 75% discount to their monthly prices. So an average SVOD ARPU is fairly affordable, roughly coming to about $1 per month. Add to this, this OTT players are constantly investing on content. Last year, the content investment stood at about $700 million. This year, we expect the OTT industry put together will see a 30% increase in content investment. Interestingly, a trend that we have seen in 2019, a significant part of this investments have been made on acquiring or commissioning local content. On an average, 30 to 35% of original content investments are being made towards acquiring local content or commissioning local content. This, we believe, the share will grow to anywhere between 40-45% in the coming years. So as a result, we have seen increase in direct subscriptions. If we can move to the next slide. Yeah, so we've seen a threefold increase in direct subscriptions last year. So India had about 60 million direct SVOD direct subscriptions last year. This will grow by another threefold in the next 5 years to nearly about 200 million direct subscriptions. For this, of course, the SVOD ARPU by and large will remain flat at nearly about $1 or so to get that penetration, and will remain at a steep discount to the average pay TV ARPUs. If we look at, as this trends play out, you will see, uh, the overall SWOT market expanding from about $500 million now to nearly a fourfold expansion in the next 5 years to about $2 billion by 2025. So let's look at some of the trends that we are seeing playing out in 2021, and many of them will play out much more meaningfully in the coming years. So, firstly, telcos have played a very important role. They've been a key catalyst for driving growth for online video. In last year, the focus for them has shifted from individuals to households. They have slashed the fixed broadband pricing by 40%. They have nearly offering now unlimited data and are hard bundling a lot of online video services. So they're playing every push and pull strategy to scale the high value fixed broadband business. And for this, it gives stiff competition for pay TV players, which last year, leading players like Tata Sky, Dish have also become quite aggressive in offering a host of connected TV solutions. So it'll be interesting to see how connected TV solutions have evolved from pay TV operators over the last few years. Uh, so if you look at it 2, 3 years back, pay TV operators were offering TV everywhere services. This was more of a defensive strategy to kind of keep a check on churn on a very nascent OTT market then. Then, with the growth of fixed broadband, rapid adoption of dongles and smart TVs, with the risk of cord cutting, many of them started to offer dongle-based solutions. Now, these are unmanned services which do not offer much deep insights into consumer consumption habits. For this reason, at least the leading players are become quite aggressive in deploying hybrid TV STBs and are looking to build scale in there. What hybrid STBs do is that they offer deep consumer insights, not only to keep a check on churn, it also allows them to upsell different ancillary services. This in the next 5 years will grow to about 10 million, more anchored to the growth in fixed broadband, especially in urban centers that we see playing out in the next 5 years. Uh, the next trend is movies. I mean, movies had a very harsh year last year. We expect that, I mean, we are seeing now already that movie is on a path to recovery. It will be a bit more prolonged than expected. But the digital first release trend that we saw last year, we believe the window will reverse back favoring the movie business. We will see a slew of big budget movies starting to come out by mid June or end June onwards. At the same time, for some of the deals that we have seen in the last 3 to 4 months, many of the leading Bollywood studios are pegging the value of their ancillary rights, be it OTT rights or satellite rights. The value of their rights are more anchored to the performance of the box office. So box office performance becomes a very important barometer. And by end this year, we expect the theatrical window to gain a strong prominence back again. Also, from the OTT market point of view, many of the OTT players are also favoring commissioning or acquiring films or web series. A typical length of a web series is 2.5 times that of films. And with all the production bottlenecks that we have seen in the last 18 months or so, to improve cadence, many of them will favor acquiring or commissioning films. This also helps them to reduce cost. Again, from where we started, India will grow in strategic importance in 21 and will continue to grow going forward. If you look at from OTT platforms point of view, the home markets like US, Europe offer higher ARPU, but the subscription revenue pool in those markets has started to saturate. So in Asian markets, particularly India, offer a vast pool of customers. I mean, not just that, it offers a vast pool of tech talent. It offers a huge labor cost arbitrage on various content functions like post-production. So it is for this reason, I mean, in 21 alone, you will see leading players, Disney, Netflix, Prime Video combined, investing more than $1 billion on content. And in the coming years, you will see entry of several new global OTT services, if not end this year, early next year, likes of HBO Max, Peacock also launching in India. Just to quantify the market again, the total video market in India stood at about $11 billion, $10.6 billion to be precise, and is one of the fastest growing in the region. It will grow at about 10% CAGR in the next 5 years to about $17 billion. The advertisement part of the revenues will grow more anchored to a sharp rebound and a sustained growth in GDP, ranging anywhere between 6 to 8% in the next 5 years. The subscription market, however, will grow more anchored to how the growth in SVOD really shapes up. Having said that, as the opportunity expands, you'll also see more consolidation, especially in traditional media. But at the same time, you'll see entry of several new global players, which will expand the market. So that's it from my side. I hope this was useful and has set the context for the rest of the day for different sessions and panels to follow. Thank you. Have a good day. If you have any questions, you have my coordinates here. I'll be happy to answer any of them. Thank you.